Hi, Matt from Modern Samurai here. Now don't forget guys, subscribe, click the bell notification. Today we're going to be working with Martyn from Aikido Bastards, and we're going to be doing hopefully some experimentation to see how we go, trying to see what we can mix up, see what we can learn, trying to put things together. So the idea of this guys is to try and experience and try and get some knowledge between us.
YouTube, welcome. Sensei Martyn here from the Aikido Bastards, here over in Wales with the trains from Modern Samurai. If you like what you see, head over to the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, and there'll be plenty more footage coming.
Alright guys, so thanks for joining us on this. Now what we're trying to do here is we're just going to have a little experimentation, a little bit of a knowledge share. The idea of this is not to dismiss anything or any art or any person. The idea is actually trying to add on instead of take away.
Lovely. So yeah, what I'll touch on this time around, it's something that I think the Aikido world lacks, and people say it goes against the grain of what Sensei was teaching about it being a sort of defensive art, but for me, conflicts happen because in your mind you come to attack me and the fight starts. Just the fact that once you meet the range, it just means it becomes physical. But if you're there and you've got intent to want to hit me, hurt me, damage me, the conflict has started. So I don't see using preemptive as being aggressive. I'm not picking a fight with you, I'm not deciding I'm going to hit you. It's about the conflict started, what's the best way to resolve it. Now, predominantly Aikido is wait for an attack. So I'm going to stand here and I'm going to hope that you're going to attack me in a said way, or with some skills we learned in video 1, I'm going to be able to deal with something a bit more realistic better. I'm still waiting for that attack. And there's going to be two outcomes, either you're going to land the attack or I do something and it stops it. But why, my view is why wait for that? And actually, within the world Aikido, we can still look to then apply Aikido, whether it's, I did one video with Rob, the simple twist turn, then look to put Aikido techniques can fit into it. So for me, it was a question to you of actually what skills, drills could we do to be preemptive with the combat, all within the realms of law, which is fully covered, and preemptive strikes are covered in the legislation, which you know and I know.
Yeah, I think firstly, I think that's something that needs to be clarified, just to be sure, because there are still people in this world that think for some reason that you can't take a preemptive action. I use that instead of the word striking, because a preemptive action could be turning and walking in the opposite direction. It doesn't have to be hitting somebody. But yes, you are, in the eyes of the law, as you all know, allowed to take a preemptive action. So that being said, again, we've got to understand what a preemptive action is. So if I just run over, I've never spoken to you, never met you, I've nothing to do with you, and then I punch you in the nose, that's a preemptive action, right? If, however, you've been giving me verbal abuse for 10 minutes and telling me all the ways that you're going to, ruin my day, right? Then is this really a preemptive action, or is this a response to his action, which is actually what I would class that as? So just because somebody hasn't taken a physical action doesn't mean you're not actually in a fight. The fight normally starts long before that, and that's something that that I talk about quite a lot. And again, you know this full well. I think that's one of the main differences between maybe some people that work within a role that involves violence and physical stuff, and somebody that does martial arts as a hobby or a way to sort of let off some steam, what have you. Because there's a very big misunderstanding sometimes within martial arts that the fight has to be physical. There is a whole different way of fighting that isn't physical, that's just as important and just as relevant. And so we need to be able to understand the space, we need to understand the psychology of it and all that sort of thing. It's really, really important, because again, this is what you'll find, and we talked about this in the last bit, and I talk about this a lot, right? It's really, really hard, number one, to punch somebody in the face, right? So what happens if I want to punch you in the face, for whatever reason, okay? If I'm your average normal person, what I'm actually doing is having this internal conversation which goes along the lines of, I don't want to hit him, but he needs hitting, I think I want to hit him, and I'm very angry and I should hit him, but I really don't know if I do. Oh, what happens if I miss? What happens if I get it wrong? What happens if he hits me back? What happens if I get arrested? All these what ifs, all this thing. And so I'm having this internal conversation, right? And the same deal is if he's actually throwing a punch at me, I'm having the same internal conversation. What's actually happening is this. Wow, I think he's going to hit me. He's definitely going to hit me. I've seen this on the television. Now, I've also practiced 20 different blocks. Which block shall I use? Boom, too late. And so the same thing applies. So mentally, it's really important that we understand that, and we understand the position that we're in. And so firstly, that's the first hurdle that's got to be overcome, is understanding the psychological side of it. And, if you like, allowing yourself to be physical, giving yourself permission almost. and again, it's really, really important that you can justify your actions. You can verbalise why you're doing what you're doing, and obviously you know far more about that than I. But just because something's right in the moment, you've then got to be able to explain why that was right in the moment.
Yeah.
So there's all these other things to it. But basically, the main thing is, if you're a moral person, and I hope you guys watching are, you're not just randomly going to go around punching people, so you're going to give yourself permission in that moment, whether it's be to protect yourself or loved ones or whatever it is, you're going to give yourself that permission, right? So with all that being said, when we're looking at preemptive actions, strikes, controls, whatever it is, it's done from that platform. Yeah, we're certainly not suggesting either one of us that you should just randomly, go physical on people. That's not it. All right. So, with that in mind, do you have any kind of stance?
Not for me. It's dealing with probably this side. Keep it simple. You're probably going to be either the standard aggressive,
Violence, posturing, all that,
Or you might be someone with fists up, but either way, it's not got physical yet, so I want to take the physical to you. But again, thinking back to the Aikido world is, how can I get myself into that position where I can apply Aikido? Because if you're stood there in a boxing guard, there's no way I'm going to go, right, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'm going to kick him and get nice. That's not going to happen without doing some more to it, if that makes sense.
Well, the moment that you reach to grab my hand, I'm going to pull it away and I'm going to smack you with the other hand.
So it's like, how can I do something to get me into a position, like we were doing before, even like slipping the punches, but get into a position where I can then make some Aikido work, or I try to make some Aikido work. And it's actually, for me, I say, let's start, the simple one is we're arguing, hands low.
So if I'm here, and I'm giving it that,
Yeah. There's the first one. Again, I always think, I control that centre, here's my centre there, and I'm looking and thinking, I've got to move in. And for me, that's where the push-pull one comes very easy. And I was always taught, almost to make it a surprise. So if you're giving like this, I would retract that, I don't want trouble, it's a really bad day, I've had some bad news about my mum, in, and then choke, or Aikido, whatever you do. But it's moving from, I was always taught, my siblings say, pretend you're the village idiot, so they wonder what you're doing, and then make them the village idiot. So that's one that I've used, but are there others? Are there other ones we could use from there?
Okay, we'll have a look at that one now. So if we're going to look at that sort of push-pull movement there, it's a very valid one. And again, what I'm liking about this so far is that all the things that we've talked about, they're within lots of other different systems and different things. So it's not like only Aikido does these things, and so that then leads to, they must have value, they must be usable. So it really does break down to how you're getting into these things, how you're applying these things. So when we're looking at this, we need to understand firstly what sort of person is in front of us. It's really important that we understand that, so that we know the correct action to take, right? Because not all dogs that bark bite, for starters. And secondly, different skill bases, different levels will get you a different response, okay? So what I mean by that is, if somebody's posturing up, so if they're doing all of this kind of thing here, arms splaying, chest out, neck pecking, all that kind of thing, that leads me to two conclusions. Number one, they're not actually that skilled in violence. That doesn't mean to say they can't be very violent, because they can, but they're not actually that skilled in it. And number two is they're going through the pantomime of violence, they're going through the steps before they actually become violent themselves. All right, so that's exactly what they're doing. When somebody's doing that, they're having an internal conversation, right? If they wanted to hit you, they just hit you, you're done. Okay. So with that in mind, that helps me, because number one, when somebody's open like this, it gives me a whole world of things to play with. All right, so it makes my life a lot easier, but also it helps me because psychologically I know that this guy's feeling it, otherwise he wouldn't be doing this. Okay, so even if he's very aggressive, even if he's a really big guy and he's giving it all of that, still internally, if he wanted to hit you, he'd done so. Okay, so from here, from that position, if we're looking at that push-pull thing, exactly, we do exactly the same. The only slight difference and the only variable maybe would be I'd step off. So if I was coming with my left hand here, I would make this cup shape and I'd look to hit the shoulder ball here. All right, back at the tricep here, and I would step slightly off, boom, here. All right, now what that does is if I turn here in my centre directly, boom, here, he can turn back into me, he's still got strength. People will reach and grab out the moment that they start to lose their balance. Really important that we understand that, because it's a grab reflex, everyone has it. Okay, whereas if I look to angle slightly, and I just come off on a slight angle, now again look, I've got an arm, I've got control, I've got good positioning here for striking, for moving into things, so there's all that kind of stuff here. We can look to just go straight into sweeps and stuff, we can look at breaks. So it gives me a whole raft of things to do. If I sweep the arm, so if I'm in this position here, and as I come here and here, I actually sweep the arm past, then yes, we can go into chokes, we can go into throws, again, all the same sort of stuff. So there's no real difference in what we're doing technically. The only difference is maybe just a little bit on the body positioning.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's quite straightforward. And you'll see a lot of this kind of thing, because basically, again, I know you guys are aware, but just in case anybody's not entirely sure, right? I work on upper T and lower T, right? So upper T is across the shoulders, lower T is across the hips. If you're not sure, think dad dancing, yeah? It's how we all move. Okay? And so that's the easiest way for me to figure that out. So I know that if I do this, I'll get movement. And I know that if I press here and I push force here, and he tries to meet force with force, I just redirect the energy, boom, and change to the other way. So it's, you know, so it's a pretty straightforward thing on that. So if we're looking at that push-pull, then that's a bog standard one, that's quite straightforward, okay? Now, it depends, do we want to control them, or do we want to destroy them? And again, from a legal point of view, I don't mean destroy as in, I mean destroy the threat, not destroy the person. Okay? Perhaps a strong word.
Again, I suppose it's the eye of the beholder, isn't it, really? I mean, probably have a combination of both. I mean, for me, I would always like to have an option of either retain control or escape. So they're the two avenues I'm going to choose, because it all depends. If you've got 3 mates and I'm by myself, there's my door. So I would want to be turn, do something, and then I'm giving myself a fighting chance to get 5 paces ahead of you to get out that door. If it's just you and me, would I be more happy to maybe just take control and just buy time? Probably safer than trying to run for a door, because obviously if I get to a door and you catch me down, then I'm in trouble. But again, I'd always have a flight option and a detain option.
Yeah.
For me, they're the safe ones, because you can only really do one or the other. So
yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. Again, it's one of those, isn't it, where by knowing what you're looking at, the threat of the person that you're looking at, whether there's numbers, you know, whether you've got other people you're looking after, all kinds of different things. It's all relevant to the conversation. So here, the reason I asked that is because if we're looking to just sort of end the game, shall we say, so if you're back into this splayed up position, a little drill that you can do. Now you can do this with whatever kind of striking you like. Now we talked about our straight line striking here, boom, we were just striking here. So all I can do here, look, is I literally just come to touch, and pop, here. So I'm just looking to strike here. I can look to come to touch, boom, come up here. So again, look, see, I'm taking that centre line. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm not standing where I am, I'm stepping out, boom. And again, look, that gives me the strength and the positioning to come into all these lovely other things. When you talk about, you know, opening up for wrist locks, when you talk opening up for arm stuff, by doing this and by opening up the person here with that strike, see, it gives me all these options and things to do. So whether I just follow through, boom, and I look to just come in with striking, or whether I look to, again, look to come in with a striking and look to wrap, all sorts of different things like that, it's just the thing. But a way to drill this is literally, if you just come into that spade position, all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit centre mass, nice and relaxed, so all I'm doing is just stepping off line, just boom, here, okay, and that's all I'm doing, here, just looking step, and strike. It's a nice little way to train it, and then we can move on to that, and then we can move into coming in, boom, look to these kind of positions.
As we were just saying, that move there is called Shogunati. It is a striking Aikido. It's not very tall. I mean, Ian Wright will be very thankful because it's his favourite move, but not many people really use it in Aikido. And it's a shame because it's very effective.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those where, if you know, we're not going to go too deep into history, but if you look at, say, Fairbairn Sykes, they were renowned for doing what they call a chin jab, which is this movement. Now, they're also renowned from doing a lot of Eastern martial arts, including Japanese jiu-jitsu and things like that. So the base and the history comes from the same places, so it's no wonder that these things are actually in and part of it. So when we talked about originally, and you said about there were like 5 main strikes within Aikido, we're actually, there's more, and they sort of come to the fore.
They seem to drift on. If you look at the main syllabuses, it will be the main set of attacks are grab. The ones you talked about are the ones that like the British Aikido Federation will put out, the BAB put out as their main syllabus. Yeah. So that Shogunati isn't in there, but it is in Aikido, and it's a very effective Aikido. Yeah. I know Lenny and his team, what they do, Naroshi Aikido, which is basically like a rising throat.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Again, I've never seen that outside of that tension world. So it's in Aikido,
Yes.
but it's been lost and left behind.
Yeah, no, that's where this sort of exploration is interesting, because again, that was, if I wanted to ramp that up, that's where I'd ramp it up too. So your splayed out position now, if I felt the threat was warranted it, my striking now would be this kind of thing where I'd be coming straight in here, looking to connect in this motion here. So it's surprising that it's there, it's already there. So if we're looking at that then, so if we're looking at that motion coming in like that, have you got any kind of tie-ups or finishes that you could then sort of add on to that?
What, from the sort of strike point of view,
Yeah.
or just from there? No, I mean, again, imagine for me, is once I'm into that offside position, I tend to have a couple of default techniques I can drop into. The Ribbonaki is obviously on that comes very from that Shomanaki type strike, because you're taking the head back. I think other ones really would work from there. The only other thing would be sometimes would I pull the head back the other way. So again,
Well, I was going to say, let's try it.
so again, same thing there. So I'm coming in, from there. Would I be then taking the head back? Because if you've gone backwards, chances are you want to come forward again.
Yeah.
And then I might take it down. Yeah. And then we also do like the Kaitenagi turns where I lift your arm up, and it's done very nicely like a roll.
Yes.
But to be honest, it's more of a drive down with the head coming up. And again, for me, it's that if I'm taking you back one way, it's quite easy, because you're going to resist if you've gone backwards.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, the energy, that's right, yeah.
So for me, now it'll be up to here, and then literally, and again, it's down. Very much like a Thai thing, back and then just bringing it straight down. And you've probably got knees and all sorts of
Yeah,
movements.
that's right,
Would be, Aikido would be driving that hand over there, and then looking at you roll, break forward.
Yeah, yeah.
That's again, quite a nice one, because clinch work is quite important, because it's quite easy to get hold of from here. One, either, whichever way you do it, what techniques do you get from it? Because I've got an element of control over you, and that's one of the ones I'll be looking at. So yeah, from that one, if I'm on the wrong side, I'm looking at some point to bring the head down, and I might need a knee to a groin to make you bend. Then I can bring that pressure on, rather than just trying to pull you down. Because you're a big lad, I'm not going to pull that neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I give you a hoot in nuts, you're probably going to want to bend.
No, absolutely, and it's always worth adding. We talked about the striking a little while ago, but it's always worth looking to add on strikes to things, just outside of something you normally do. So if you're looking at those kind of positions and you think, well, actually, yeah, there's a strike there. Why don't I practice it now and again with the strike there? It makes sense to do that, because if that's an opportunity, if that's an option, and that's something that may come up, why not practice it now and again? Even if you're not doing it all the time, but now and again seems like a sensible choice. So if we're looking at that motion here, and I'm coming in, and we're coming both off this line here, and so we've got the head back. If I've got this arm, it would seem to me to be a reasonable idea to want to sort of keep hold of it if I've got it. So is there something reasonably straightforward where you could...
So from a straight arm, so if I'm on an arm bottom here, I would probably be looking, again, I would say if something's straight, keep it straight, if something's bent, keep it bent. So for me, if something's bent, I would be looking to look it out, because it's already straight. So why fight something that's already straight, and then from there, I'll be just taking the shoulder back. If it's bent, like that for me, I would be looking to bend it even more, because it's already bent. And then, it's not very Aikido like for me, but again, I'll be thinking, well, I'm going to take you backwards, or actually keep you moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I work on that principle. If it's bent, keep it bent and straight. Because I'm not going to unbend your arm. If your arm's bent, I'm not going to get, as you said, to the neck throw. You're not going to get that nice. So for me, I'll be looking at either cranking it. So very much like we do hit your shin, which is like this, basically an arm bar. It's the same principle. I'm putting pressure onto that joint, bang, keeping it straight on, or raising it up. And if you got the idea of raise you up, I can then take you backwards because you're off thumb. So for me, they're what I'd probably work with.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? Where if you've got that connection, because what you'll find is, one of the things that people will sort of, as a criticism, they will say that there's no sort of, it's fluid, but it's fluid because we're blending, as opposed to it's fluid reacting to the motion. And so that's why I sort of asked that, and that's a really good, valuable sort of thing to say, because it shows that it's not like a one-size-fits-all, as in, if I end up here and my arm's bent, your reaction is going to be slightly different than if I'm here and my arm is straight. You're like, well, okay, we're not going to try and enforce a position, we're going to use what we've got.
The technique is, it could be all sorts of things. I might decide, choose something, I might think, well, I might then take, here comes my going edge. I'm giving away control, back to big movements. I've got something here. That's it. We normally do this from here, called Mytosh.
Yes.
Again, same thing on there, and I'm literally cranking the arm up and projecting forward.
Yeah.
You don't give a serious slight body change. Well,
Yeah.
the principle, the physicality is the same, just the position. So I think that's back to you, it's that mental agility to kind of think, don't look for technique, find the technique.
Yeah, that's what, all the energy that comes, that's right, yeah. All right, so one of the other stances then we talked about was sort of like a boxer stance here. Again, we talked about knowing the enemies in front of you, right? Very important to understand this principle because how the person stands, how they present tells me a lot about them, right? So, as an example, if they stand in a boxer stance, it tells me the kind of attack I'm going to get. It also tells me whether they're any good at boxing or not, right? After many, many years of doing martial arts, you can tell by somebody's stance, you know, how good they are at certain things, right? So it's not across the board. But, so as an example, there's a boxer, we're going to be here. Thai boxer, we're going to be here. There's a grappler, we're going to be here, elbows in. All right, now each of those will present a different problem. So each of those should be dealt with in a slightly different way. So what I want to do is make sure I'm not playing their game. Okay, so I'm not going to try and punch a boxer in the same way that I'm not really going to want to grab hold of a top-level judo guy because well, I'm going to regret that quite quickly, right? So what I'm looking to do here is just to try and close down the weapons, right? So if you take your boxer stance, so as an example, right, and again, we looked at this very briefly in the last one, right? It's just a variation on the theme. So all I'm going to do here is just bring my arm up and I'm just going to step forward, okay? So here, boom. So what I'm trying to do, look, is close down these weapons here. Now, your argument on that is going to be, well, the person's just going to step back. Well, of course he's just going to step back. Obviously he's going to step back, yeah? So I can either follow him or move into something else. So if we come around the other way, so here, look, my motion is just to step in. Notice my head's off to the side. Now, from here, if I come back to this elbow, I can come straight back in here. Very, very simple one, yeah? Again, it's not, what we're doing is we're not looking to complicate anything. So my movement, look, is I step in, keeping my head in tight, lift the elbow, and I make sure I step. This is really crucial that I step. Boom. Step here. And then we come around to this position, and then obviously where it goes from there, what you do from there is up to you. Shall we give that a try?
Yeah.
So, that's it. That's it. Quite simple.
Yeah. It's amazing, so.
There you go. Okay, so I'm just showing a couple of little very, very simple things from this. Now, when I say simple, I mean a simple like this, like this practicing, not so simple if you've got somebody that's really trying to punch your head off, right? However, the premise is simple. That's what I mean, okay? So all I'm looking to do here is come in, and I'm looking to pressure in here. Now, if he steps back, I can follow him, okay? Now, bear in mind also that I can use this to throw strikes of my own. So instead of trying to lock up, I can use this to just open a gap where I can look to come in striking on my own. So that's another variation on this if we're practicing this. So as soon as he postures up here, step in, boom. And so I'm just looking to come straight in. So again, if we come around the other side, because we get a better view on that a little bit there. So here, step in, boom. And I'm looking to just straight away come down that line with that shot. So we can use it for striking like that. We can use to tangle up the hand. So again, depending on where I am, what gaps I've got, right? Now, one of the things you'll find is that somebody will pull their hands away. If you touch them, they're like, get off me, that kind of thing. That's a regular kind of thing to happen. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do here, look, is I'm going to touch here. Now what I want to do is it's going to create a reaction. Now as I touch here, he's going to pull his hand away. Now what that does is it gives me a gap. So here, as I touch, boom, I'm just going to step in. Now I'm not trying to do anything complicated. What you do from that is up to you. The premise is the simple one, which is we're in this position here, I just touch. And what I'm doing is getting him to think about this. The moment he thinks about this, like, boom, I'm just stepping forward. Okay, again, it's nothing complicated with regards to that. We can look to tie up. Now this is a little bit more complicated in the sense that there's a risk on this, more so than with the others, because there's no direct barrier between me and his hands at this point, all right? So if I'm here, look, what I can look to do is I can look to scoop. So literally think like throwing a hook, but throwing it around the gap here. Now what I'm actually looking to do, look, is look to come in and tie his hand, see? And then again, we've got controls here, I can strike here, or I can look to pivot my hand through. So come in this way, here, look, and we just drive the chin around. Got a control.
Yeah. I've seen a similar where people try and, like literally, if your hands are in a box one, it's almost that sort of, again, looking, because if you we're almost mutual kill here, but of course if I do that, your natural reaction is to put it back up, just that to him, and then it's almost like up and under type thing.
Yeah.
Again, I want control of that centre line. If I control the centre line, I'm in a stronger position than you on the outer line, usually.
Yeah, usually, yes, but again, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, whether it's striking, whatever it is, because it's all well and good. So, again, don't take offence at this, people, but if this is my striking style, with my chin up, very linear, it's no good me taking this centre line with somebody who's a boxer and knows how to strike. Why? Because if you just stay like that, because they know how to hook. Boom. So that chin being up, being there, is actually worse for you, not better for you in that respect. So if you're here and you're in like a boxer stance and everything's protected, it's a little bit better then. But if you don't know sort of hooking motions and you're kind of there, then that's actually slightly worse. So it's one of them. So if we go back to that boxer stance a minute. Now, we're looking at variations, yeah? We're just looking at ways to move in on that. Now, as I said before, the thing is with a boxer, with a striker, their hands are fast, they're going to move quick. And so I've got to be aware of that. So I'm either closing ground or I'm getting at a dodge, whichever one it's going to be. All right, so we looked at this version here where I came in and I blocked and then I connected here. But if I do this in a wider motion, all right, so what I'm actually doing, look, is I'm pushing on the back of this hand. So from here, look, especially if I get a more side-on approach, what I'm doing is slapping this elbow. Again, bringing me in. And there's a whole lot of things we can do from that. Suplexes, takedowns, all kinds of things, right? Now, I know you do like arm in triangle, that kind of thing, so if you just bring it up, so if I come here, look, if I shoot through here, we can look for sort of triangle chokes, that kind of thing, yeah? Or if we're looking for grappling MMA kind of stuff, from here, what I do is I set the right leg through. As I pop here, right leg comes through, boom, I look to connect here. Now, from here, we can look to suplex, we can look to roll in, boom, take the legs. There's a whole lot of things we can do from there. But what we're doing is getting past those hands. Yeah. That's the main thing.
Exactly, that's breaking down that barrier. I mean, is at the moment, my people will be on wait. I'm waiting for the attacks to come. I want to think against it.
That's exactly it. That's it, yeah. So all you're doing here is just pushing the arm, boom, out like this. Boom, there.
It's not a slap, it's a push, or would it?
You can do it as a slap as well, but it's basically, if you 6 times a minute, the idea is that I move it off that, because again, you're going to bring it back. The idea is I move it off that line. So here, look, if I like one look to slap it, but here, if I should push the same time, so all I'm doing, boom, as I push it, see, so I'm half pushing, half stepping. Boom, see? Well, there you go, there you go. Yeah, good. Right, so if I show this now, right, and I follow this through a little bit, so if we just come this way a sec, right, so I'm going to do the same motion here, the same step on, the same connection here. Now, what I'm doing here, and this is one of the practice here, is I'm pulling in, I clamp my hands gable grip, I pull the hips in towards me here. Okay, now as I do that, I use my leg, and I hook your leg, see?
Yeah.
It's just
It's
a very straightforward takedown, yeah. Now again, we're moving out of the realms of what you would class as sort of technical Aikido. However, if you think about what I'm doing here, what I'm doing is we've got deflection, we've got circles and angles,
we've got a rim here, you're taking my
we've got footwork, we've got balance shift, we've got balance break. So essentially, all the fundamentals of what's within.
Again, there's an piece which called Aikido, essentially what if you face camera that way. Again, it's done where you'll take coming in and you're taking these hips like this.
Ah, right, yeah. So it's a similar movement.
It's normally done for what I call fail signals. If I try and do that one where I come in here and it's not working, I'm in deep enough to take those knees.
Yeah.
And it's sort of,
all right, okay.
It's like a bomb drop.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll end on this one because I'll show you it, right? Because it's an interesting one. Now, if I'm in this position here, right, and you think about throwing a jab, right? So if you just throw a jab out a minute, okay. So again, there's the arm, there's the jab, right? Now, what's going to happen here is I'm going to step in. So remember that parry we talked about? This time I'm parrying this way. So as the jab comes, I'm parrying this way. Okay, so normally I want to parry to the outside, right, because of the risk of this hand. But here, look, as you come again here, so I parry this way, now look, watch, I step in, boom. Now from this position, I can either sit up this way and get the takedown here, or we can go into what you just said. Alright?
Brilliant.
So all that's happening, look, you throw the jab, so as the jab comes, look, parry the jab, just boom, just step. Now from here, I don't have to take the legs in the sense that I can just pivot my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can come under the legs.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing when I get in that position, look, it's just literally, boom, just this. Boom.
Yeah. That's nice. As you said, it's there. It's in.
You want to try?
Yeah, well.
Okay, so, as I throw the jab, no, we're not doing punches, parry. Yeah,
just teaching you bad habits, you know.
No, that's alright, because it's not that you can't do that, it's just at the moment we're looking to come in, so heel up, boom, there, that's it, boom. That's it.
That's nice.
Yeah. So if I come around a little bit, then they can see me falling on my butt in all my glory. Heel up, boom, there you go, right there. There wasn't really a lot of energy in that either.
I suppose again, think about your antenna, your elbows are in, you've still got that as a bit of a...
Yeah. Oh yeah, again it's one of those where when I'm looking at these kind of things, right, so just take a stand for a sec, show what we're doing. Whenever we're looking at these kind of things, right, now I'm showing the position and the movement here, but always bear in mind, guys, that there's strikes, there's strikes, there's strikes, there's strikes. All of these things can be applied and added on.
Yeah.
So it's all, it's all extras. So, okay, guys, I think that's going to be the end of part 2. We will be doing more, so join us for that one. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, guys, leave us a comment. Let us know if you want to talk about anything and what you think about these videos. But do me a favour, bear in mind, guys, that this is an open thing that we're doing. Neither one of us has discussed what we're going to do beforehand. We're just trying things out just to see how it goes. Right? Hope you enjoyed it, guys.
Thank you.